Hello everyone, welcome back to Kirklees Guitar School. In today's guitar lesson I'm going to teach you how to play Supersonic by Oasis. This is one of my favourites from Mr. Gallagher. It's got some really cool little bits in it for the intermediate guitar player, and there's some cool bits, so stick around. There's going to be a full free PDF which you can download for free from the first link in the description. That'll take you to our website where we've sort of upwards of between 80 and 90 guitar lessons where you can download the tabs and there's an accompanying lesson and it's all completely for free. Don't want anything from you, you don't have to sign up to anything, you just go on the website and get the PDF. It's really straightforward. I'd advise that you get this because I'm going to keep referring to it and it'd be a good idea for you to sort of follow along with a pencil and be able to scribble on it as we go. So let's get into it. I get asked about tones a lot. Noel Gallagher played this on a Les Paul, to my knowledge, with a Marshall and a WOM, I think. I'm using the Boss Katana and a Gibson Les Paul today. I'll do a full dive on the tones later on in the video. If that's what you're after, use the chapters feature. Right, let's get into the meat and potatoes today. So we're going to start with this drum intro at the top of the PDF. So these blocks here are called rests. So for the first 3 bars of the song, you're not going to do anything at all. All I want you to do is I want you to count those first 3 bars. And PS stands for pick scrape. So at the start of the song, all he's doing is he's gonna mute all the strings apart from the low E string. You're gonna take the edge of your pick and you're gonna drag your plectrum across the string. But it's quite nuanced and it's quite difficult to get the exact sound that he's doing on the recording, because he's muting the string and he's dragging it right over the top of the pickup, and you've got to like drag it really slowly to the point where your plectrum's going over each divot of the string. I can't do it now, you're all watching me. Experiment with that. You've got to do it really, really slowly, but it's really important that you're muting the strings. If you don't do it, it turns into something else. Okay, so that's the pick scrape, and then we go into the main riff, which is the Now what I'm thinking about this is if you play a power chord on the 2nd fret of the low E string, so 2, 4, 4. On the E, the A and the D string. Now take this index finger and move it, so you almost want to pivot it down to the G string. So you see how I've got 4th fret of the A, 4th fret of the D, 2nd fret of the G. And it's like an upside down power chord. That's how I remember that shape. And I'm going to pick those 3 fretted notes starting from the A string with downstrokes. I'm then going to go all the way to the bottom, pick the high E and the B, and basically pick the five of the strings on the way back up. So I'm doing 3 downstrokes, and then go all the way to the bottom. And can you see underneath the music there's those little sort of U's? Those are called quavers, and there's a full bar of quavers, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And what that means is it's played quite quickly and they're all the same distance apart. I'm then going to go to an A5 chord to a B5 chord. And that B5, you're hanging on to it for quite a while. That's why there's those little ties, those little lines that are coming off it. Pause the video, get that under your fingers. And if you see at the beginning of the PDF, you're going to play that 4 times before Liam comes in. Just repeat markers, so we'll do it again. One more time. I need to be myself. That's where that bit comes in, okay? Which looks like this. So we're going to go F sharp 5, fret 2, fret 4, fret 4 on the E, the A and the D string. And I'm going to play that. I'm then going to take my index finger off for the 2nd note and strike it again. They do a lot of this in this song where they're playing around with that root note. And you see how on the third note, I come back on. I'm then going to play that. I'm going to play the fourth note, followed by a little where I let go of all the strings. Bonehead did a lot of this kind of stuff where he'd sort of let go of everything. It's called the John Lennon G6 trick, where you'll play a chord, and before you transition to the next one, you literally let go of everything and just strum the open strings, and it adds a lovely dynamic. That first bar. Slow it down. And it's really important that you almost treat those open strings at the end of the bar as like it's like a quick little flick. It's a quick transition to the next section. We're then going to do 2 quick A5s over here, followed by another set of open strings. Now, when you play this slowly, it's not going to sound right, but when you do it up to tempo, it sounds more like it, okay? 2 quick A5s as quavers, followed by an open string. And then we're going to play B7. Now, the cowboy B7 that we always play, that's what they're playing, but we're only going to play the top kind of 3 strings of the chord. If you strum the whole chord, with this overdrive on it, it'll sound too muddy. You won't get the clarity that you need. You need to treat it like a power chord, but it's just a little bit different, okay? So you play the 2 A5s in the open, you're then going to play 2 B7s, and then let go and strum the strings again. Can you see a theme now? Whenever you change into another chord, you just play. You just want to catch the open strings as you transition into the next one. Let me play those 2 bars for you. Sorry. That's I wanna be myself, can't be no one else. Pause the video and get that under your fingers. Like I said, those open strings are a little bit tricky, but once you get it up to tempo, it'll all of a sudden kind of slot into place, okay? So just have a little bit of faith. So then find a way from what you're going to say. Pre-chorus, I guess we could call this. This is at the very, this is the the 4th line of the first page of the PDF. And we're going to go to it's very cigarettes and alcohol. They borrowed a lot of that kind of bluesy T-Rex kind of thing. So we're going to play an E5 power chord, but we're only going to play the E and the A strings. So you got 0 on the E, open E, 2nd fret on the A. All downstrokes. We're going to play that twice. I'm then going to take either my ring finger or my pinky. I'm going to use my ring finger. I put the 4th fret down. Bearing in mind, I'm still pressing the 2 because I'm going to come back to it for the 3rd note in the bar. I then take the ring finger off. I play the 2nd fret 3 more times, followed by putting the 4th fret on once again, and then back off again. And it's quavers 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and bar 2 is identical. So it sounds so cool on the back pickup of the Les Paul. We're then going to go back to F sharp 5. We're going to play the F sharp twice. But can you see how we've got crotchet, 2 quavers, crotchet, 2 quavers. 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. It's very similar to the. It's very similar, but it's not. I've put this into Moises and picked Bonehead's part apart, and there's definitely an open string in that. So there's a short one, 2 fast ones, short one, 2 fast ones, and then he's just going to sit on that F sharp chord for the very last bar, just doing 1, 2, 3, 4. Moving on. E5, just the same. Just the same as we've done. And then we're going to go to the lyric here as we get into this C#7 is before tomorrow. Now I'm going to play a C#7 bar chord. Now, not the bluesy one that looks like a C. It's the A7 shape. So if you play an A7 chord, you know where you play an A with the middle hollowed out. It's that shape, but I'm going to bar on the 4th fret. So I'm barring the 4th fret. I'm using my ring finger on the 6th fret of the D string. I'm using my B string. I'm using my pinky on the 6th fret of the B string, and I'm going to pick. This is what it's supposed to sound like, and then we'll break it down. So I'm going to pick the root note. I'm going to pick the A string with the downstroke, followed by the G string and the D string up with 2 upstrokes. Following that, I'm going to go all the way to the bottom of the strings, and I'm going to pick the high E, the B, and the G. And I'm going up, up, down. This note here is tied. You don't have to pick it 4 times. It's basically twice. Sorry, you're going to have to pick that. You pick it again. You pick it again. Those sound identical. It's just that this note's just a little bit too long to fit in just this bar exclusively, so I've had to tag it onto the start of the next bar. You're doing up, up, down, up, up, down, up, up, down. Let me play all of that for you. So the first bit. Now for this next bit, I could have gone one of 2 ways. I could have done the... I could have played the chords, but I just felt like it wasn't the coolest part. And if I was going to play this on a gig, you know my mantra, if you've seen my lessons before, if I'm the only guitarist on the gig, that's how I approach my lessons, and I try and cram all the cool stuff into one master version. That's what I've done here. Rather than playing the chords, I've opted to go for this. My friend said he'd take you home. It's that lyric, it's the chorus, okay? Ring finger, I'm going to slide in between fret 2 on the A and fret 4, sliding into that C sharp. Index finger, I'm going to play the 2nd fret of the D string. I'm then going to walk back on myself but without sliding, so 4th fret, 2nd fret. Followed by open A, open E. Bar 1 and bar 3 are the same. Let's just have a moment just working on that first bar all the way down here and get really good at that. For the second bar, I'm going to, instead of sliding between 2 and 4, I'm going to hammer this time. I'm going to hammer, and then the next 2 notes are identical. 2nd fret on the D, 4th fret on the A. Now, this always seems to catch me out. It's the 2nd fret on the low E string. You're going to want to play the D string. The D string is going to feel natural because that's how it is in the previous phrase. That's not the case. Practice those first 2 bars for me, please. And you see how it's just repeated. And then you've repeat markers either side. That's what those funny looking brackets are. So that's the chorus. From this point, you're going to get into what I call solo 1, which is the... So I'm using shape 1, minor pentatonic scale in the key of F sharp minor. So my root is on the 14th fret of the high E string. So sorry, of the low E string and the high E. So it's fairly up on the dusty end. Okay, we're starting on the 16th fret of the G, and I'm going to bend it a full step and then bring it back down, followed by 14th fret on the same string. Da, da, da. And then I'm going to play the 16 at the end of the bar, and I'm going to let it linger so that it ties into the beginning of bar 2. Because it's in brackets, we don't have to pick it a second time. We just need to hang on to it for a little bit longer. Moving into the second bar, we've got the 14th fret, and then we're going to move up to the D string and go between 16, 14, 16. Back down to the 14th fret of the G, 16, 14. So you do a lot of meandering around the middle of the scale here. This whole bar 1 and 2 of this phrase is one phrase, let's say. It's one part. For all the 16th frets, I'm using the ring finger, and for all the 14th frets, I'm using the index finger. And they're all predominantly quavers apart from the first and the third note. We've got a variation where we bend the 16th fret. First 3 notes of bar 3 are identical to the first 3 notes of bar 1. But then, rather than resolving back to the 16, we're going to go up to the 17th fret of the B. Goes up to that. It goes up to that E note up there. Again, can you see how this is tied? So we don't have to play it a second time because it's in brackets. But then we're going to bend that 16 and 14 as we enter bar number 4. Now there's no pull off there. You're just bending the 16 up and back down before you go to the 14. That's the first, that's bar 3 and the start of bar 4. Again, all index and index and ring finger. Now we've got some semiquavers down here. We've got a flurry of notes. So I'm going to hammer between the 14th and the 16th fret of the D. I'm then going to come down a string, and I'm going to do the same on the G, but I'm going to pull off at the end of that back onto the 14th fret. And then resolve to the root note on the 16th fret. Pause the video. Get that first bit under your fingers. The more time you spend here, solo 2 is going to be a lot easier the more time you spend getting this in here. Let me just play it one more time for you. In the right key, preferably. Can you hear how this is significantly faster, twice as quick in fact, as the rest of the quavers? Moving on from that. Yeah, sorry, there's an extra note tagged on in the next slide and I was just wondering where it was. I thought I'd screwed up for a second. Can you see how essentially solo 1, so this is, what page of the PDF is this? This will be, I imagine it'll be the second page. Yep, second page. First line of the solo and the second line of the solo are more or less identical. So you play it the same, and then as we move into the final bit, you've come from that 14th fret that everybody's dying to hear is over here. Yeah? You're going to pause then for a while and go back to, do you remember that C#7 chord where it's the A7 shape moved up to the 4th fret? You're going to then play that, followed by you do that sort of bend the second fret of the A string, and then open A, ready to go back into. So let's just revise those bits, going from the solo. Into that. Moving on from solo 1, we're then going to essentially just play a load of sections that we've learnt already. So we're going to go into verse 2 from there. So you've got your nothing new there, nothing that we haven't already covered. Into the again. Into that C sharp 7, and then the chorus. Finally, the My Friend Said You'd Take You Home, etc. Then we go into solo 2. Now, the way that I want you to think about solo 2 is, it looks like this. The way I want you to think about solo 2, I'm going to show you 8 slides now, which is just like an elongated finale of the song. But he's basically using the same ideas from solo 1 with a couple of little improvised messing around bits. And that's the attitude I want you to take to this. So I'll take you through each line of it, right through until the record fades out. But there's a lot of the same stuff here. I'm going to show you a lot of slides in quite quick succession. But there's not a lot that changes. But I couldn't just put repeat markers in it because there were just a little bit too much to be able to do that. Okay, so let's rattle through this and then we'll talk about tones. So this is what we've got to start with. Nothing new there. It's just what we've done previously at the start of solo 1. I've probably literally copied and pasted that. Moving into the second bit, you've got the first 2 bars. It's just the same again, but here we've got some bends. So you're gonna sort of hammer on between 14 and 16 to the 14th fret of the G, and then you're gonna play the 16th fret of the G, and you're gonna play it in quavers, still playing it in quavers, but you're gonna bend it and hold it. And on the very last one, you're going to bring it down. You pick it and then let air out of the tyres. Followed by that other as it goes round again. Now, to be honest, I'd lose count by the time I get over here. I kind of feel where it is in the song, which I know as somebody, a student of the guitar, that's not very helpful, but you can kind of feel when he's going to chain. Etc. Moving on. Slide 3 and the third line of solo 2 and the first line of solo 2 are identical. There's no, it's this theme that he keeps coming back to. It's kind of like he'll play one the way that we all remember it, and then he'll mess about the second time round, and then he'll go back to safety, mess around again. So in the fourth line of this, you've got the again, first 2 bars identical. And then we've got a little bit, it does vary a little bit. So I'm hammering between 14 and 16 on the D, going to the 14th fret of the G. I come back on myself, 16 and 14. And then I do that little hammer on again. All of those are quavers apart from that very last one. and then you do more bends. One, two, three, four, five, 6 of those. Now we get into this nice little, this is a cool little lick. It's the same lick that's repeated for 3 bars, and it comes back a little bit later on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bar the 14th fret. I'm looking at the very first note over here. I'm going to bar the 14th fret, and I'm going to play the D and the G. Is it the D and the G? Yeah, it's the D and the G at the same time. And then with the ring finger, I'm going to hammer onto just the 16th fret of the D string. I'm then going to take the 16th fret off again, and then play the 14 by itself. So you hammer on and then play a normal one. Hammer on, play a normal one. Over here. Might sound better. Again, carries on for another 3 bars. Now what that does is, where it comes back on itself, is priming you to go back to he's trying to dig himself out of that hole to get you to back to the main kind of form. And as we finish, it's all much the same. I know I'm rattling through this fairly quickly, but it don't need to take any longer than this, because it's just all the same thing with a couple of little nuances. Sorry, I lost my place there. And by that point, it will have faded out. So essentially, I haven't done too much reading into exactly how that was recorded, but it's definitely improvised with a quite clear theme. And I dare say, if you compared 3 live clips of Noel playing it, one back in the day, one in the early 2000s, and one from the most recent set of Oasis gigs with the reunion tour, they'd all be ever so slightly different. So take what you will from that with a pinch of salt. Tones wise, I'm using a Gibson Les Paul predominantly on the bridge pickup for all the sort of and then when I want the creamy stuff, I'm going up to the neck pickup. All my volume and controls are all on 10, but this Les Paul's quite dark sounding, so if you feel like it's a bit bright when you go up here, take a little bit off there. Trying to get a little bit of that sort of Clapton-y kind of thing. I'm using a Boss Katana Artist Mark II. I'm using it on the crunch setting with the gain at 12 o'clock, the volume at 12 o'clock. The bass and middle are both on 10 o'clock and the trebles on 2 o'clock. I've got some spring reverb set to 11 o'clock and my presence is set to 11 o'clock also. I'm running this on the 0.5 of a watt setting as well, and I'm using the cab sim. I'm using the line out from the Katana straight into my interface. So you're not actually getting the speaker, you're getting a simulated speaker, but I've tested it, it sounds pretty close. At home, what would I use? Light overdrive, humbuckers, if you've got the option. To be honest, it's the whole kind of classic rock thing. You want to be able to hear the articulation of the strings, but it's still to be overdriven, not distorted. Overdriven is what we're going for. Finally, I would just get a phrase trainer, get something like Moises, put that solo in, chop a little bit out at a time and just keep plugging away at it, just keep working through it and it'll come. You know, if you've got this far in the video and you've been able to keep up to it this far, you know what you need to do. Get a phrase trainer, just work on a little bit so that you can do that. Bolt a little bit more on, bolt a little bit more on. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next week for another guitar lesson. Thank you so much.